Awesome. So our goal was to create an interactive visual experience at festivals that informs and educates. And we've kind of taken two different possible directions we could go with that. One is a little bit more festival specific, but they're both interactive visuals. If you want to introduce.
Yeah, so the
Can
main...
Jack and Tsunami be with us?
Yeah, sure.
Please, sorry. Sorry. Don't be shy.
Yeah, join
We're-
us. Join us.
Trust me, we're all friends.
So yeah, the main underlying technology that we're going to be implementing is Touch Designer, which is a real-time interactive multimedia software for building these types of interactive displays. We're going to be using a projector onto a big screen so that it can be a communal interactive experience rather than, like, we were talking about VR for a second, but that's totally isolating. And I think if we're doing a festival setting, it's good to include the ability to do it as a group thing.
And what is the theme? What's the projection about?
So there's two different topic ideas that we have. So the first one is themed about educating festival goers about safety and hydration. So we have the mood board for topic 1 here. So we're thinking kind of lush, greenery, bringing them in with that, and then somehow visualizing withering away or like lack of hydration.
So the image on the right below mood board is the one about the hydration?
Yeah, correct,
Okay.
correct.
It's all just natural and life representing things like cell growth and decaying from, body.
And then what is the interaction there? So there will be this image on the projection. The participant approaches it, and what happens?
With this one, I think it would be cool to incorporate things like this in the background and include a silhouette or something of the person in front, which then would turn into some kind of decay with action. We need to
It could
discuss
potentially.
the exact, but
Yeah, I could.
Is it going to be clear for that person? I'm asking all of you guys, sorry for giving you my back. Is it clear that it's going to be about hydration, or people will approach this beautiful image and just feel like, oh, I'm going to play with these really interesting, liquid looking visuals? Means you think it's going to be fairly understandable that it's about staying hydrated and human health. Yes, Jeremiah.
So I know that you're going for like more of something at a festival as opposed to like something that you would have like as an exhibit, right? For this thing. So
Yeah,
I
for
know
the
that,
hydration.
I think that Christian, he made something similar, like a projection experience at a festival, and I think one of the things he said about like festival projections is that it's difficult for people to like actually interact with the experience if there's like a lot of stuff happening. Like if there's like
You're
they just kind of
You're totally right. Yeah.
if there's too much happening, they just kind of like stand still and kind of just like stare at it, but you have to make it more basic if you actually want them to interact with it. So that was something that I remember that he was talking about.
That's really good input. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you go in a that's why I was telling Paul the other day, don't necessarily gear it toward, one particular venue, because the problem is if you're saying, oh, I'm going to do it for a festival, and the festival has a crowd of people approaching the screen, then you're kind of in trouble, right? Because that type of technology is pretty much aimed at the silhouette comes in and there are a few participants, then their silhouette interacts with the visuals. But if you have 100 silhouettes, you're in trouble. But something like that would be ideal. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Moxie Museum in Santa Barbara. There's a beautiful there's a science museum mainly geared toward children, in which you have like a wall that people enter, or like the Frost building that Jack was talking about. It is a big building which there's a big wall you project, and a person or two approach it. Now festivals seems to be a lot more people, so it's a lot harder to manage. I kind of agree.
yeah, and that's my original idea was just having multiple people come together and like do a kind of like constructed superposition where like multiple people coming together builds energy, and I think that would be fitting for a festival setting.
Depends how many people. I'm just saying from the technological point of view, Christian's and Jeremiah's point is when you have too many bodies, it becomes
the
much harder to
festival might be
control. That's
a
all.
little
I'm
different.
talking about the more pragmatic, right? I have to build it, and when I code it, I need to say, this happened when this body comes in, but I wonder if the coding cracks if you end up having 100 bodies instead of, whatever you plan.
Yeah, and performance
Just to
does
keep
go
in
down
mind.
with-
So one idea is hydration, though. We got the message. And wait, I was asking everyone, do you guys think it's going to be clear that it's about hydration? Jeremiah had a great point, but nobody answered this question.
With the visuals, we we have to work on the way that they're interacting with the way they interact with them. It means conveyance. I guess that's the big thing to make sure.
What does
it's,
conveyance mean?
It's how conveying the message.
Oh, conveying the message. Now, does the message to be conveyed kind of needs to show someone drinking, or because what you have there is far from that? I don't know.
Yeah, and this is super
Yeah.
mood board, not directly what would be at all.
Okay, so
and
you don't have a more concrete sketch of how do I convey it? How does convey
No, we
it
don't
occur?
yet.
Okay, because it's kind of going to be tricky. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's going to be hard to put some glorious visual and suggest that is about drinking. Yes.
I don't know, I kind of have an idea of trying, you maybe can have something like, you can project like a little water bottle or something, and you can have like, if they go and touch it, like their silhouette can like turn into like this like cool blue green thing. And but if they're not touching the water bottle, then it's kind of like blank and boring. But if they do, that maybe you can connect it.
Or like if they touch the bottle, their body kind of pulses life versus if they don't, like Paul was saying, it shrivels down. Yeah, something.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
talking about incorporating not only like reactive visuals, but like proactive things that you have to be prompted to do that will generate like behavior, you know.
Cool. Did not know that. Fantastic. So that's theme number 1.
Yeah, so theme number 2 would be focusing more on mental health and exploring sensory overload. And I was thinking it would be cool to put yourself kind of almost as the mind of somebody trying to filter stimuli. So kind of this mood board of eye-catching stuff. So the viewer would be in this vibrant world that's abstractly representing stimuli. And they'd be tasked to do something like, collect all the blue circles or something like that. So you'd reach out your hand, and this would be your silhouette on a projection. And if you touch a blue circle, it sticks to you. And when something sticks to you, the audio would increase. So I have these sketches of what the circles could look like and sticking to you. But what happens is, let's say you're trying to get the blue circle and a green square sticks to you. You can't stop that. And then it adds to the volume. So there'd be overlapping audio files. So it would get increasingly chaotic. And it would also get more chaotic the more people there were. And that'd be the intent, would be for it to be more
Kind of
chaotic if
give
there
the
were people
sense of
there.
how you can get overloaded by stimuli, and the stimuli are visually represented through shapes and color.
Exactly. And
And sound. Yeah,
And
sound.
sound.
Sound for sure. I mean, it is the key. You're right. Yeah.
And I think that one of the takeaways from this experience would be that there's also a lot of beauty in experiencing the world that way. I wouldn't want the takeaway to be like, oh, that's scary, and I'm glad that's not me. I want to be like, oh, I have an appreciation for this different experience, and also that's really cool, and I appreciate the challenges that might come with not being able to filter stimuli. And that would be the takeaway.
So you kind of grow some form of appreciation for the people, like autistic people. They say they get bombarded and have everything, all the stimuli in front of them, and a lot of us feel compassionate about it. But this experience can put a different spin to it. Like, hey, look, they are able to handle all of that. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I bow to them. That's
And
great.
also emphasizing that stimuli can be overwhelming in positive ways too. Because
Yeah.
if you have really intense sensory receptors, let's say the sunlight feels like so much more intense and beautiful than for the average person.
So the tricky part for you guys is the music, which music to use. I know, are you a bit of a musician? Yeah, I remember that. That's cool. That sounds like a great project that would be a good fit for you as well. Because the sound is going to be a big
this
component
idea.
of this. Yes, that's cool. I love this idea too. That's so nice when there are many good ideas, huh? What does everybody think about this one?
I do have a question. Is it just like the experience as you're just collecting all these dots and then it just gets louder and louder and louder? Is there like a trigger that it'll like remove all the dots from you and then like it gets really peaceful or something like that?
I was thinking about that. I was thinking it could be nice to maybe if there was less people, like if there was a crowd, it'd be chaotic. But if the people dissipated and there was only maybe 2 people left, and if they just sat still, maybe it would start to dissipate then. Because we were talking about ways that how would you diffuse sensory overload? Maybe if you if there was some way to put on headphones or some way to simulate removing yourself from an overwhelming situation. Because I also had that question of
And
how could
also,
we bring it to a kind of a close.
Also having the people around you be less loud or whatever. You could kind of simulate these kind of dots that are quite loud, but then all of a sudden the sound mellows down and a certain piece comes in. So my point is you can even simulate it within the experience of so you don't have to have put a headset. But that is a good point. How do I tune it down? Yeah, but then the experience can also be really short and doesn't have to tune down too. It means it depends on what you want to do. I always love very short and sweet experiences in which they just tell you one point, and then you know walked away. Like the story of the letters that were forming on those arms that day. I stayed there for like 10, 15 seconds, but it stayed with me for the following 30 years. So cool, awesome. So you even have a third idea, or two is because these are pretty strong.
Yeah, these are our two ideas. Then we just have the timeline, and then we have challenges, constraints, and I think we do have the crowds as a potential issue, which was a really good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Does anybody want to give? Should we vote on which one you guys think is stronger? Because I think both are really good. One is more about the physicality of the dehydration, is more physical. The other one is more like about the mental component. You know what I like of the mental component is that you can actually simulate that you're inside the brain too. Means that the visual can also be very striking. But the one of the water also. I don't know. What do you guys think? Means if we were to vote, do you guys want to vote? Which one of the two seems stronger? So if we wanted to vote, how many of you votes for number one? Raise your hand. How many of you votes for number two? Raise your hand. Okay, you got kind of a good sense.
Yeah.
I'm actually number two too. I love it. Good job, and I cannot wait you guys to figure things out. Awesome. And now, I want to tell you one thing because I know Jack is also very passionate about augmented reality. That is, if you guys want to do two modality for the idea, like you remember Wadey's presentation, that she had the projection, but she also had kind of like other, technology with it. You could as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Touch Designer is very good with it.
Because once you have a touch designer, you can easily convert it to other things. But anyway, just letting you know. Okay, so let me actually quickly stop. Oh,